on track, because at the end of the day, this administration has to have something to pass. The Democratic Congress can't look like it can't get something done, so they're going to have to figure out how to cobble something together. But it does seem like they decided to take 2 steps back after they took 1 step forward, because now they got a $1 trillion bill in the House, which is about $150 billion more than they said, than the president said that he wanted. And now they've got to have this back and forth and figure out how to get 6 to 10 moderate Democrats and Olympia Snowe on board.
And I'll tell you, Pat Buchanan, for the next week, they may want to stop using that tired old pushback, because every day may not be election day, but next Tuesday is.
That's right.
And the Republicans are probably going to win in a blowout double digits in Virginia, a state that Barack Obama supposedly was taking Democratic. The conservative candidate in upstate New York blowing the doors off of the establishment candidate, the Republican candidate, and New Jersey. You've got Democratic friends that are telling you, and I'm hearing, and Mark Halpern said he's hearing the private polls show the Republican Chris Christie is pulling ahead.
He could win this.
Every day may not be election day, but imagine selling your health care bill that raises taxes and cuts Medicare to blue dogs a day after a Republican sweep.
I think if what you project, Joe, happens...
It's not what I'm projecting, but it is what we're hearing.
You're talking about, if that does happen, I think the day after we're back to the trigger, aren't we, Senator?
Let's be a little bit careful about saying that this cuts Medicare. It cuts Medicare payments to insurance companies.
Medicare Advantage.
But it doesn't cut Medicare access.
Senator, that's like saying...
Procedures,
hold on a second, Senator. With all due respect, and you know I respect you greatly.
Oh, here we go.
It's not like cutting Medicare... With all due respect, you never heard me say that.
Never could.
But then it's just like with the 35-40% surtax, not on people, but on insurance companies, but that gets passed along. This stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Well, you've got insurance company profits up 400%. You've got insurance companies announcing this week $700 million profits. It's not as if they're not capable of absorbing this hit.
Well, it's not as if it's not as if, though, also, and we can talk about that, but that doesn't mean they're not going to pass it on to me and poor Pat Buchanan over here, who's 401k shop.
Exactly.
You know, Medicare benefits are set by law. They just don't get to say, I'm sorry, you're a Medicare patient. You can't do that.
No, I'm talking about the tax increase. Won't the surtax
No, but you said Medicare cuts, and what I was reacting to is there really aren't Medicare cuts to any Medicare recipient. Every Medicare recipient will end up with the same Medicare program after this bill that they had before.
Will Bill Nelson in Florida vote for a bill that doesn't cut Medicare but seems like it might cut Medicare?
I think one of his big concerns is filling the donut hole, and we want to try to get as close to that as possible so that we can improve for seniors there. But I think when the dust settles, this bill will be a net gain for seniors.
Well, let's put it, what does the president have to give up to get to 60? In other words, if he wants a public option in there, and moderates, Blue Dogs won't vote for it in the House or in the Senate, Snowe won't vote for it, will he have to lower taxes? Will he have to cover fewer people? Because the Democrats I talk to say, yeah, that's got to be on the table if you're going to pull across support for a public option.
I think it's falling into a, opt-in versus opt-out, that there'll be a public option, but that there'll be a way in which states that don't want to participate.
Let's explain that really quickly, if you will, because we use terms that people don't understand. An opt-in, that's where you don't have a public option, but states have the right to opt in later.
You have a public option, but it's up to the state to take an affirmative act
whether they
to take advantage of it.
An opt-out that more progressives like the opt-out option, though, which means everybody gets it.
Correct.
And then a governor would have to say no.
Or a legislature is clear how you set it up.
We want to take this benefit away from the always easier to give benefits and take them away, right, David?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. But again, even the opt-out is, I think, a curious path right now in terms of where the support comes from.
Todd, it just doesn't seem to be there. Harry Reid, and we had Chuck Schumer on, and we heard it out of the White House. Nobody can count votes better than Harry Reid.
Right.
But he obviously doesn't. Nobody taught him how to count from 57 to 60. Because as we said this weekend, he was at 57.
I think he has a strategy still.
Well, look, I've talked to a lot of Democrats. I've talked to a lot of Democrats about this, both here, outside of this compound, And all of them are starting to wonder that Harry Reid has a strategy, but it's not about 60 votes right now. It's about exciting his own Democratic base in Nevada as he's worried about re-election. And as somebody described it to me, Harry Reid was a man without a base. In Nevada. It's, you know, we would look at it and say, well, why wouldn't he want to do the compromise? Why wouldn't he want to do the trigger? Well, he didn't want to upset the liberal base out there. People, SEIU, very strong, very big in Nevada. So by doing this, doing everything he can to get it, and then if he can't get it at the end, he can say, well, look, I did everything I could. I'm getting to 60. And that's what I have a lot. Look, we can't get inside Harry Reid's head. You know, we're not, you know, can't pretend that we know exactly how he's thinking. But I can't tell you how many people now who have spent a lot of time with him are thinking that this is the strategy he's taken.
Well, you know, it's politics 101. I remember during Bill Clinton's impeachment, he was saved by his base, the pro-choice movement, the women on the left, Ronald Reagan, Iran-Contra. He absorbed all the hits because his conservative base stayed with him. That's what Harry Reid needs. He's getting pounded. He needs the progressives on his side.
He can go back and say, I went to a wall for you guys. We did everything we could, and we were 3 or 4 votes short, and we can't come home with nothing. And so now we've got to go with the trigger, and we can get them back, and we can win it.
And Senator,
I'm newer here than some of you guys are.
You're positive. You think he's going to get this?
What I've heard since I've been here has been a lot gloomier than it feels to me in the Senate. We have very good feeling in the caucus about the need for getting it done.
By the way, where's the painting? Where's the painting of Joe Lieberman going to be hung in the Capitol? I just is there going to be a Lieberman? It's not glove. Yes, exactly. Okay, but again, this is a thing that's fascinating me about the Democrats all summer, telling me it's all about votes. It's all, LBJ would have gotten 60 Democratic senators in the White House this summer. So how do you get? This is simple. They're at 57.
Yep.
They need to get to 60.
Yep.
How do you move Lieberman? How do you move Lincoln? And how do you move Landrieu? That's all he needs to do.
I think 2 things happen. The first is I'm confident that the leader has the votes to move to proceed to the bill. So that gets it up on the floor, and now we're engaged.
Yeah. He does.
On moving to proceed to the bill, he's fine. And I think everybody is fine, although there hasn't been an official whip count, but I don't think Harry would have done this if he couldn't get to the floor.
Lieberman won't
So then you get to the floor. Then you have weeks of amendments. And a lot of people who have views about this have the chance to exercise those views on the floor. They may win, they may lose, they may be able to go back to their people at the end of it and say, you know, I fought like hell for whatever my cause is. I got my vote.
Saying, yeah.
I went up fought the battle for you, and now we got the bill that we got, and I'm going to back the bill. I tried as hard as I could.
David, Pat Buchanan says Democrats have to get something passed, anything. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no question about it. And I think the White House will compromise mightily down from where we are to get something done. That is a reality that's been established for some time. My question is the leader trying to cut down the number of days in the recess to keep senators from going home to face health care critics?
I'm betting on doing my Christmas shopping on the internet.
I think that's significant. Is that the White House strategy to keep legislators from going home? Is that Obama's Washington?
An enormous amount of work to do. The Republicans are deliberately and obstructively burning as much Senate floor time as they can. That leaves us less and less to work with a lot to do. Yeah, we'll be very busy between now and Christmas Day and maybe into the next year.
All right. Hey, let me ask Chuck really quickly as we leave. Chuck, so Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Yeah, apparently.
But really quickly, Chuck, do you think the president's going to have to give up a lot to get something passed?
Look, he was willing to, and I think that's what's frustrating these guys. They had given up a lot in their minds already to get Olympia Snow, and then what happened this week. So I think they're there on giving up what needs to be done. The question is, what are Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid willing to give up at this point?
Yeah. You know what I think we end up, Pat, where you say after all the amendments, after everything, I think we end up where the president was Saturday when he was talking to Harry Reid.
Last word?
Yes.
I dispute that this was a bad week. I think that it was a fine week for us. We have the matter in our control. Our destiny is in our hands. We do not necessarily need Olympia Snow, and we had to move back back to the full caucus and not just to the small finance committee group. That was done, and we're underway. I don't feel what he is saying.
He's got that Reagan optimism. It's almost
does.
Morning in America.
Very cheery.
Morning in America.
Senator Whitehouse.
Morning Joe in America.
I feel better.
The insurance.
Thank you,
Morning
Senator.
Joe in America.
David Gregory, thank you. Todd, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck.
Coming up, Jim Cramer and Kathleen.